Chapter 1, Sections 5 and 6, Adding and Subtracting Integers. First, we'll look at adding. Consider these following situations. A positive plus a positive, a negative plus a negative, a positive plus a negative, and then a negative plus a positive. Well, the answer to this one, a positive plus a positive, no matter what those positive numbers are, this answer is always going to be positive. And a negative plus a negative, doesn't matter what those numbers are, the answer is always going to be negative. What about these two? A positive plus a negative, and then a negative plus a positive. Well, here's the rule. What you need to do is find the difference between their absolute values. The answer has the sign of the number with the greatest absolute value. Please make sure you copy this all in your notes. When you're done copying all that down, consider the following 4 practice problems. 4 plus 6, negative 4 plus 6, negative 4 minus negative 6, and 4 plus negative 6. These 4 problems should give you a good idea as to how complicated this can be. Go ahead and try each of these 4 problems. Hit pause and do your best. One of the things you'll hear me say all year is that one of the hardest things we do is the addition and subtraction of positive and negative numbers. This can give you headaches. So let's take a look at this slowly and consider this statement. 4 plus 6, I think we can handle that one. It's 10. Negative 4 plus 6. Well, you're probably thinking of a few different ways to imagine this. But the answer clearly here is 2. Now, did you find the difference between their absolute values? Well, the absolute value of negative 4 is 4, and the absolute value of 6 is 6, and the difference between 4 and 6 is 2. How about negative 4 minus negative 6? Now, officially, this is not adding at all, it's subtracting. But there's a rule here. A negative, negative. When you subtract a negative negative becomes a positive. This is the same as negative 4 plus 6, which is equal to, again, 2. Keep that in mind. How about 4 plus negative 6? Well, it's similar to these problems. And let's go back to this statement here. Find the difference between their absolute values. Well, the absolute value of 4 is 4. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6. The difference is 2. But the answer is not 2. The answer has the sign of the number with the greatest absolute value. Now, the greatest absolute value in this case belongs to negative 6. Because the absolute value of negative 6 is 6. That's bigger than 4. So the answer has the sign of this number. The sign of that number is a negative. So the answer is negative 2. Let's move on to Chapter 1, Section 6, and focus on subtracting. When subtracting a big number from a small number, choose addition. And those are Mr. Lappin words. It's nothing you're going to find in your textbook. But let me give you an example that illustrates this. Think about what 2 minus 7 is. Well, I'm going to go ahead and say that 7 is a big number, and I'm subtracting it from a smaller number, 2. I like to look at this as an addition problem. This really is the same thing as saying 2 plus negative 7. And 2 plus negative 7 is going to be equal to negative 5. Now, subtracting a negative number is the same as adding a positive. And this is probably one of the trickier things we're going to do all year. For example, 2 minus negative 7. Go ahead and write down what you think the answer to the problem is. 2 minus negative 7 is the same thing as 2 plus 7. And the answer to that is, of course, 9. So you can use these rules as you move forward in the addition and subtracting of positive and negative numbers. Or you can work to develop an image of a timeline in your head. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's start with a very simple problem like 4 minus 2. If you were to diagram this on a number line, you would start with the 4. Put a mark right above 4. 4 minus 2, well, minus means I'm going towards the negative part of the number line, so I would go 2 spots over, and I would end up at 2, which would be my answer. That's pretty easy. We learned this a long time ago. Let's try something a little bit more challenging. What about 3 minus 7? Well, I would start at 3, and I would go 7 spots this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, until I got to negative 4. And negative 4 would be my answer to this problem. Now let's try it with a negative number at first. What about negative 1 minus 3? Go ahead and try that. Negative 1 minus 3 would involve starting at negative 1 and then moving 3 spots to the left. 1, 2, 3. And my answer would be, again, negative 4. Where this gets a bit more complicated is when you have multiple negative signs, such as negative 1 minus a negative 5. In this case, you have to be aware of the rule that a double negative equals a positive. So when you subtract negative 5, this actually turns into negative 1 plus 5. Now you can go ahead and use your number line. You start at negative 1, but now you're adding 5. So you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that would get you positive 4 as your answer. Go ahead and try to simplify this expression. Negative 10 plus 3 minus 14 minus negative 8. If you need to draw a number line, go ahead and do it. We're going to start going left to right. There are no parentheses that need to be simplified. There are no exponents. There's no multiplication and division. This is just adding and subtracting. Negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7. Then I'm going to bring down everything else. Minus 14 minus parentheses negative 8. Again, going left to right. Negative 7 minus 14 is negative 21. It's not negative 7. This is a common trap. Negative 21 minus negative 8. The next part. Remember, a negative negative gets you a positive. This is negative 21 plus 8. Negative 21 plus 8 is equal to negative 13. And that's your answer.